Now this, and again, the researchers had this in 1950. This photograph was taken in 1900 when the house was empty. Remember, the Worthingtons moved out. It was vacant for 3 years before the Smiths moved in. We don't quite know why someone took that picture, or are they taking a picture of this? We don't know, but it's in the archives, and it's been an invaluable resource for us. So the investigators in 1953 knew from the bill that it was a drapery paper, and they knew from this photograph that it was a drapery paper. Also, when they removed the wallpaper that the Smiths had put up, they still they found evidence of the original blocks from this type of paper. You can see that these pretty match up. Can you see the lines? Here, like it comes down here, over here, up here, and over there. So they knew that they had found this. This obviously would have been covered in ink with a pattern. But they didn't have any kind of way of having custom-made wallpaper done at that time, so they just bought what was available off the rack. Well, in 2003, with new investigative methods and new methods of production, we were able to consult with a woman. Again, if you're an artist and love history, another great field to be into. I'm serious. We sent her this close-up detail of the photograph. And we had our architect measure. This is 23 3/4 inches from the top of the base rail to the bottom of the chair molding. And this section between the door frame and the fireplace is 42 5/8 inches. From that, she was able to scan the photograph and then determine that this is called a repeat. Like, you can see that here's a section, here's a section. Well, this is one. You know, doing the math, she figured it out that this is 20 1/2 inches by 22 1/2 inches. And from that, she was able to scan it and then begin to make a pattern or a template for the wood blocks that would be used for printing the paper. Does that make sense so far? Yeah? Okay, so that was step one, to scan it, get the proper dimensions. Now, it's a black and white photograph. How do we know what colors we would use? Well, fortunately, in the 1950s, they contacted Worthington descendants who had lived in the house in the late 19th century, who were fairly elderly by that time, but they asked them because they had the photograph and they knew about it, they just didn't have any way of producing it. So one person described it as a soft fawn yellow with lines of white and deep orange that outlined the design, which is a tapestry. The second person said it was a cream background with festoons of pink roses and green cords and tassels. The third person said it was gray and green and crimson for the tassels. So from that, you know, it could be one person thinks it's gray because of dirt. I think one was a man and two of them were women who probably saw the colors differently. But anyway, that gave us enough where we took the 2 out of 3, where we pink roses and green tassels, and went with the soft fawn and the cream background. And from that, the wallpaper designer was able to come up with this rough, it's called a spotting detail. And so she assigned colors based on the descriptions to each section of the wallpaper. And you could see there's nine colors, which meant there were 9 blocks, which meant this was a fairly expensive wallpaper because each one of those colors has to be cut out as a block and then pressed on, let dry, and moved on to the next section. From that, the next step was to kind of do a mock-up or a rough-up, something like this. And I have just a quick observation of what she said that it was an American imitation of a French paper, and at that it was poorly done. She said it wasn't done very well. There's mismatches. You can see that it kind of starts to run on a diagonal, the chords. And one person said that the artist had tried to do a good job, but he actually really didn't. So taking this, she rescanned it to make sure that the colors matched that first section that was done in black and white. From that, this is the recreation of the wallpaper. And here it is. I intentionally, this looks like a bad photograph, but I used that to show varying degrees of light. It would have been dark 3/4 of the year probably. So here it is done in the house, installed. I see the other group meeting, but I did want to show you this. I hate to touch this. This is an actual reproduction. And here you can see where the paper seamed to match the size of the blocks. Really, you want to feel it because it's just horrible. It's very gritty. It's because it's handmade paper made with distemper paints, which are really rough. And you can see that it looks good when it's overall, but it's actually kind of crudely done. But it creates an effect when it's done like that. So, any questions? Does anybody want to be a wallpaper designer?